This station is the voice of development. Omalicha 91.1 FM.
When it comes to your greatness, we're always with you.
Every step along the way. Yes, you can call us the first radio station standing
with you and for you. Omalicha 91.1 FM. Omalicha 91.1 FM. The voice of development.
An economy is driven by multiple factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and fueled by productivity. To understand Nigeria 2025 economic and business performance for 2025, trade and trade policies, consumer spending, and public perception of government fiscal reforms must be understood. However, it's important to recall that Nigeria's economy grew by 3.84% year-on-year in Q4 2024. Its fastest pace in 3 years, driven largely by the services sector, 5.37% growth, and increased aggregate demand from the festive season, with annual growth for 2024 reaching 3.4%, up from 2.74% in 2023, according to the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). Marcel Okeke, an economist, speaking on live television, expressed concern that the GDP growth was largely driven by services instead of productivity.
Well, the figure that has just been released by the National Bureau of Statistics shows an improvement over what it was in the third quarter and same quarter last year. The GDP, which is good, is an improvement, okay? But when you decompose the GDP, you see that services is still taking the lion's share or contributing the largest quota share, which is not supposed to be, because it means that the real sector, what we call the real sector of the economy, which is really the productive sector, is not doing as well as is expected to do.
As Nigeria aims to maintain a strict January to December fiscal year, Nigeria's 2025 budget cycle officially began January 1st, 2025. However, the preparatory legislative process started earlier, with key milestones occurring in late 2024. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) approved the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework (MTEF) and Fiscal Strategy Paper (FSP) for 2025 to 2027 on November 14, 2024. President Bola Tinubu presented a proposed 2025 appropriation bill to a joint section of the National Assembly on December 18, 2024.
2025 budget of transformation, empowering people, building a resilient future. We affirm our commitment to securing our future, rebuilding prosperity, and ensuring that every Nigerian shares in the dividends of governance.
This is committed to the Committee of the Whole for conclusion.
Having worked in harmony with the House of Representative Committee on Appropriation and the subcommittee of the two chambers, the Senate do consider and approve a bill for an act to authorize the issuance from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 54,990,165,355,396. The President took proactive measure and made a new provision of $200 million, which is equivalent to about 300 billion naira in the service-wide vote to fill the gap created by the United States government, suspension of the intervention to the global health sector.
I sponsored a motion here, co-sponsored by 35 senators from this corridor, on the need to construct standard gauge rail from Port Harcourt through Aba, Makurdi, to Maiduguri. We waited, the breakdown came out, and that rail line has zero allocation. You have to intervene. The President still has opportunity for supplementary appropriation. Anytime he brings a request here, this Senate will consider it.
Report of the Committee on Appropriations on a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 54,990,165,355,396 4,990 billion.
The motion is on the floor. Those in support of the motion that this appropriation bill 2025 be read a third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. This bill is read a third time and passed. And I hope that this appropriation bill will contribute to moving Nigeria forward and will assist Mr. President in his renewed hope agenda to renew the hope of Nigerians in all facets of life.
The National Assembly passed the bill in February 2025. Hence, the budget passage and enactment was signed into law shortly after. The actual implementation of the capital component of the budget was expected to begin by September 2025, following a temporary delay for verification and reconciliation processes. Nigeria's 2025 fiscal performance was shaped by effort to implement new tax reforms for revenue, challenges from subsidy removal impact, oil process fatality, governance issues like corruption and policy inconsistency, security problems disrupting activities, and global economic factors, all affecting growth, inflation and debt management, with modest recovery expected if reforms took hold. Some key factors that influence Nigeria's 2025 economic and fiscal performance include the enactment of new Tax Reform Act, aimed to broaden the tax base, improve compliance, and reduce the cost of doing business, crucial for fiscal sustainability.
This reform is something that is long overdue. It would have been better if the Nigerian Federation had done this some 30 years ago, but it's not too late. And we thank Mr. President for initiating this revolutionary reform, which we feel strongly that is going to simplify the tax system, is going to get more revenue to the Federation, and is going to make investments more friendly in Nigeria. Has an obligation to respect the values of accountability, transparency, and compliance, since a well-organized system is the foundation of national development. I have no doubt that this discussion will take place over the next 2 days with useful suggestions that will help the understanding the provisions of the Act.
So let's stay the course. We cannot afford to derail the reform designed to strengthen the economy and empower the people. And most importantly, we need coordinated implementation across all tiers of government. So I'm very happy that we have representatives from sub-national. I saw my brother there, chairman of Algon, and also institutions of government for better outcome for Nigeria.
Inflation, which was over 34% at the end of 2024, gradually eased throughout 2025, dropping to approximately 22.22% by June and 18.02% by October, largely due to tighter monetary policies and the operationalization of the Dangote refinery. The Dangote refinery, having commenced full operation in late 2024, began selling refined petrol in Naira in 2025. In a major development in December 2025, the refinery reduced the price of petrol to 699 Naira per litre, a move expected to further stabilize energy costs and reduce reliance on import.
I was told that the marketers have met with, with Farouk. I was told to make sure that yes, that price should be maintained high. But this price, we are going to start with MRS stations. Most likely on Tuesday in Lagos, they will be able to, that 900 and something, you won't see it again. Okay, we have also asked members of IPMAN to now come. We have also asked anybody who can buy 10 trucks to come and buy 10 trucks at 699. We are going to use whatever resources that we have to make sure that we crash the price down. By the grace of God, within a week to 10 days, we will be able to deliver. We don't want to see, at least for this December, January, to sell petroleum product more than 740 Naira nationwide. You are right. Even now, when I was coming here, I saw people selling at 910, 920. But that's not the price, because if you have money to come and buy, you can pick up at 699. And freight within Lagos is 10 Naira, maximum 15 Naira. maximum. So if it's 10 naira, maximum 15 naira, it is going to cost you 715. Why do you want to sell at 900? Because those period of PFI by NNPC has passed. That corruption era is no more. So you are right. Definitely we will enforce that low price.
The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) maintained an aggressive anti-inflationary stance for most of the year, holding the monetary policy rate (MPR) at a record high of 27.5% through July 2025. The CBN later slightly reduced the MPR to 27.0% in September 2025. The Naira experienced significant fluctuation, but ultimately appreciated in the official market throughout the year due to CBN interventions and improved liquidity, with the rates generally hovering between 1,450 naira and 1,600 naira per US dollar in the latter half of 2025.
The Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, held its 303rd meeting on November 24 and 25th, 2025. The committee reviewed key developments in the global and domestic economies, including the risks to the outlook. All the 12 members of the committee were in attendance. Decisions of the MPC. The committee decided by a majority vote to maintain the current monetary policy stance with an adjustment to the corridor as follows. 1. Retain the monetary policy rate MPR at 27%. 2. Adjust the standing facility corridor around the MPR at plus 50 to minus 450 basis points. 3. Retain the cash reserve requirement CRR for deposit money banks at 45%, merchant banks at 16%, and 75% for non-TSA public sector deposits. And 4. Keep the liquidity ratio unchanged at 30%. The committee's decision was underpinned by the need to sustain the progress made so far towards achieving low and stable inflation. The MPC reaffirmed its commitment to a data-driven assessment of developments and outlook to guide future policy decisions. Considerations. The committee welcomed the continued deceleration in headline inflation year on year in October 2025 for the 7th consecutive month. This favorable development resulted from several factors, including sustained monetary policy tightening, stable exchange rate, increased capital flows, and surplus current account balance. In addition, the relative stability in the price of premium motor spirit (PMS) and improved food supply supported the pace of disinflation. However, headline inflation remains high at double digit, requiring sustained efforts towards moderating it further. The committee was therefore of the view that the steady deceleration in inflation across the three measures, headline, core, and food, in October 2025 suggests that the lagged impact of previous tight policy measures is expected to continue in the near term. Thus, maintaining the current stance of policy amidst lingering global uncertainties would allow the effects of previous policy rate hikes to sufficiently transmit to the real economy and further reduce prices.
The business ecosystem in Nigeria 2025 fiscal year has affected institutions, ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, non-governmental organization Business Environment Council, PEBEC, reported the 2025 ease of doing business in Nigeria, and Southwest stood as the strongest region. led by Lagos with 5.6%, Oyo at 65.1%, and Ogun at 62.7%. On the flip side, Northeast remained the most challenging region for business, with the states like Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Taraba, and Yobe recording the lowest average scores. States in the Southeast zone generally performed well compared to other regions, with Enugu and Abia featuring in the national top 10 and top 15 respectively in the 2025 and 2023 report. Enugu State is a strong performer, tied for 6th place nationally in the 2025 ranking, with a score of 56.2%. Abia State improved significantly in recent years, moving from 33rd position in 2021 to 21st position in the 2023 report, ranking 3rd within the Southeast zone at the time, while Anambra State was the top-ranked state in the Southeast in the 2023 report with a score of 6.19%.
It is getting easier. It's a work in progress. It's nowhere near perfect, but we are beginning to hold ourselves to be more accountable. And on that note, I would just also mention that we released 2 reports. The BFA report, which is the Business Facilitation Act, which basically ranks our federal MDAs on their efficiency, transparency, and performance as a whole, as well as the subnational report, which you have just mentioned. We try as much as possible to cover all the different unique factors of doing business in Nigeria, hence the multiple indicators. Sometimes you might think they overlap, but every specific indicator is to help us highlight or further understand the peculiarities of the Nigerian business sector. We work very closely with several consultants who I'm not going to add, that would be advertorial if we speak here on that. But to be honest with you, we had a lot of help and assistance from the World Bank as well as the EU, guiding and helping us also navigate. But then, of course, we took into consideration the local factors within Nigeria and making sure that the report is indicative of our own, unique factors. So every single indicator is put in there to show us or help explain the current situation within the business climate in Nigeria. For us with this report, it's a baseline. Overall, what we are using it for is a baseline. We have to have metrics, we have to understand where we're at, and we have to be able to build based on that. So it's more of understanding the existing business environment in Nigeria, highlighting the areas that, maybe potentially we're doing well in, and then areas that we could be doing better, as well as giving recommendations for next steps. So if you go through the report, you'd find that it's quite detailed. Like you said, it's 100 odd pages over for the subnational, and I think for the BFA report it's about 30-40 pages. Yes, we have highlighted the top 10 states for doing business. This is not saying that there's not opportunities. We've even taken it one step further by, besides highlighting top 10 states, we've also shown you the states where they are at, whether they are in the middle tier or the lower tier. We've also gone further to explain some of the areas of concerns. We've also gone further to even highlight potentials in each state. Majority of the states that have excelled is simply because they have started to digitalize and automate their systems and basically streamline processes, making it a lot easier to do business in those states. And that's what we've seen.
This ranking reflects ongoing state-level reforms in areas such as digital services, regulatory efficiency, and investor support. The recent IMO Business Summit highlights significant variation in the business environment across Nigeria.
Welcome to Imo State, the Eastern Heartland, the home of the digital economy and the home of hospitality. Welcome to this historic first Imo Investment Summit. In my new thinking, Imo stands for Investments Meets Opportunities, IMO. In energy and technology, Imo State hosts in East Belly the largest proving gas reserve in West Africa. Let me repeat, the largest proving gas reserve in West Africa. So for those looking for opportunities for investment in the oil and gas sector, Imo State is the destination. With the support of the federal government, we have established the Orash Energy Free Trade Zone, a strategic gateway designed specifically for investment in our energy sector. Early birds in this space will enjoy tax holidays and abundant growth opportunities. Technology-enabled services and logistics, all leveraging the infrastructure of the free trade zone. And you will need skilled workers to operate these industries. We have them. Through our Skilled Up Imo initiative, we have created a large, readily available pool of digital talent and a skilled technical workforce.
Experts believe Nigerian great days lies ahead.
In my opinion, the Imo state has an absolutely fantastic future. And I think that Nigeria's great days lie ahead of it. The Imo state's great days lie ahead of it. And I think great days of the historic friendship, partnership, love affair between Britain and Nigeria also lie ahead of us.
By what I've seen, anybody who is serious to come and invest, there are opportunities here, and you cannot actually count this sort of opportunity. So there's power, young population, arable land, mineral resources. There is nothing that they lack here in Imo. So I believe that the right way for investors to look at and come and put up an investment here.
Nigeria achieved a significant trade surplus with total merchandise trade reaching 38.9 trillion naira in Q3 2025. Exports surged, particularly raw materials, indicating positive outcomes from the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfCFTA) initiative. Despite positive macroeconomic indicators, a significant portion of the population continue to face high living costs, food insecurity, and high unemployment, with the World Bank estimating 139 million poor people in Nigeria by October 2025.
The time the present government assumed office, it was hectic on people. It was very hard. But as they used to say, that when the going becomes tough, tough becomes going. So gradually, the thing is softening. And people are now getting themselves. I would say the federal government is trying, because all the policies they have imposed has helped people.
The situation in this country is very, very poor and bad, and the economy system in Nigeria is very poor, and things are very expensive and costly. And we, the masses, we are complaining, we are suffering, we are crying. When you go to the market, the cost of things are very expensive.
Now, this is 2025. We're almost end of the year. But we so much thank God, since January things are very difficult and hard, but now the God has made it and the governments have made it. This is more lesser than before, more especially Gary and the rice, only that the other items is so much high. But we pray before the year runs out, things will normally come down.
While some Nigeria have mixed feelings about 2026, it is noted to mention that Nigeria was admitted as a partner country to BRICS in January 2025, signaling a shift toward a more multilateral foreign policy. Nigeria's foreign reserves now exceed $42 billion, supporting the country's external position, and Nigeria hosted the Motherland 2025 festival, aiming to promote tourism, culture, and investment. This report is produced by Chidike Edmond Ojienu. I am Oyenkuru Precious Jamaka, reporting for Omalicha 91.1 FM, Owerri.
This station is the voice of development.